Hi, I'm Kathy Newby, Public Information Officer for Okaloosa County, and today my guest is our Vice Chairman, Commissioner Wines. Welcome, Commissioner Wines.
Thank you, Kathy.
And we have a great subject to talk about and a very timely subject to talk about. It is time to get ready to submit your Restore applications, which of course is from the Restore Act and the result of the court settlement for restoration from Deep Horizon oil spill. This is the first installment, the Transocean settlement, I believe, and why don't you talk about that time frame for project submittals?
Okay. Well, we've got a 60-day window of opportunity for all submittals to be put in. It started March the 9th. It'll be over with May the 8th. So
get it in by May the 8th.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And don't be afraid to get some help, because you need somebody that can walk the walk and talk the talk, because it gets a little involved. It's technical, it's scientific, you know. So give it your best shot.
It is an application process. That's right. Well, where and who should they talk to get some of that help?
Well,
Kelly, they could talk to you. They could talk to Sound Jumian.
I could steer them in the right direction, but
Okay.
our consultant for the Restore is Matrix. That's an engineering firm out of Niceville. Sal Najimian is our consultant that we've hired that heads up the ORAC committee. And on their staff, of course, they've got scientists and environmentalists and economic development people. They kind of cover a broad spectrum, so that'd be a good source.
Okay, and then there's small projects and large projects. There's a part A, there's part B. You want to talk about that? Sure.
The part A, the small projects, is a project that's less than $90,000. There's going to be 15% of the overall monies, which the overall monies that, by the way, went in the bank today, as I understand it, with the Treasury. So we have the money in hand. Is $6.4 million. 15% of that being $960,000 for small projects. So if it's less than $90,000, the application, I should say, is simpler, more direct, easier than the large projects. Part B of the form is for the larger projects that get more into the bigger money.
So they have to be vetted, and we have to have a lot more details on those,
Absolutely,
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Well, now, who provides comments and reviews those proposals, Commissioner Wines?
Well, to start with, it'll be the consultants that the county has hired, the Matrix company that I just referenced. They'll bring their scientists, their environmentalists, and make their comments on the first phase of this application to give the ORAC committee some guidance on how to proceed, how to help grade it. That's only part of it, but that's the first step.
Okay. Well, will the applicants make presentations, and if so, how long is that presentation?
Well, on the initial presentation, the applicant will go before the ORAC committee, which is comprised of 11 committee members. They will have 10 minutes to present their case, hit the high points, so to speak. Then there'll be a question and answer period of an undetermined length of time. The ORAC committee can take as long as they want to help evaluate, and then they'll score each project.
Is that for the short and the long application?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how many projects will be considered?
Well, they want a 2-to-1 buffer. In other words, for the $960,000 for the small projects, they want enough projects that will be actually twice that amount. So I think it's $1.92 million worth of projects could be submitted. Just because you submit and just because you're approved doesn't mean you're going to get the money. They're going to pick the best projects out of that overage, if you will, because they're looking at more projects than they can approve. But the best projects will be picked out of the whole batch.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, same as the large projects. They'll pick more than they need in order to fall back and get the right number of dollars.
Okay. And let's see, you've got $1.9 million for the small and $10.88 million for the large. That's the total amount.
Now, bear in mind, that's in this first increment of money, the 6.4 Transocean settlement. Hopefully, when the bigger money comes in, we're looking possibly $60 to $80 million for the big fine,
right,
for the BP money. That's yet to be determined by the courts, but we anticipate a lot bigger chunk of money.
Okay. And then what about the scoring? What can you tell us about the scoring?
Well, the scoring is done in the sunshine, so to speak. It'll be at the ORAC committee meeting where all the members will have input. They'll listen to the presentation. They'll ask whatever questions they want, but the committee members are not allowed to get in a debate with each other and try to influence the partners to go with one project or another. So they'll jot down a score when they're done with their questioning session, and they'll tabulate it up, and that'll be it.
Okay. Well, very good. And these, are, of course, are open meetings.
Open meetings, advertised, and yeah.
Okay. And this is going to be an ongoing process. You want to talk about the multi-year implementation plan?
Well, the multi-year implementation plan basically is a list of the projects that have been accepted. And really the design of this multi-year implementation plan is put together in order to ensure that procedures and criteria and validation, everything's defendable. It's big money. It's all in the sunshine. We want to be sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. In other words, it's very defendable.
Well, and I think the whole application process is very detailed, so that by the time it goes through a computerized process, doesn't it, where it'll actually give you a lot of information.
That's right.
Once it goes through that matrix program that they have developed.
That's right. That'll be part of it.
I think we should talk a little bit about that, because I think that's important. I mean, instead of just these broad questions, it is going through a fairly detailed process before it even gets to the committee.
Absolutely, and they'll have to consider quite a number of projects to get this 2-to-1 balance that we spoke to earlier.
Right. Okay. Very good.
Another thing, Kathy, to bear in mind is these projects, as they are accepted, they'll also, in addition to all this scrutiny, have to go through the county procuring process by the policies and procedures. So there's a lot of checks and balances in this money to be given away.
Right. So when it leaves the committee, then it goes before the county commissioners with their recommendations.
Right. You take the ORAC recommendation, the county decides, the commissioners decide which are the final projects to be approved. And then
it goes to the U.S. Treasury.
Well,
talk a little bit about that.
It goes to the Treasury, but then it's got to get past the multi-year implementation plan.
Oh,
when the
okay.
Treasury approves that, it comes back, and the county will be funded, not the proposer. In other words, the county holds the purse strings, the money goes through the procurement process, and then we're in business.
Very good. That clarifies that. Okay. Well, if my project is approved by ORAC, will it be funded?
Not necessarily. The 2-to-1 buffer, you could be approved and recommended to the board, and if they don't pick it, it's not going to be funded. So there is no guarantee that if you get through the phase of the ORAC committee, the final decision is with the Board of Commissioners.
Now, these applicants, will theirs be considered again when the second installment of
Well, they
money?
can be.
Okay.
They can be.
Do they resubmit, or
When
just?
I tell you the truth, I think they probably would have to resubmit because it's a different pot of money.
But they've already got it done.
But
so.
they've got it pretty
Yeah.
well in shape. But in other words, their chances are not over with if they don't make the first cut. They can still hold on, and that, bear in mind, there's a much bigger pot of money the second time, so
Right.
they ought to stand a better chance.
Right, absolutely. Good point. And why does Okaloosa County application require so much detail?
Well, that's mostly because the Treasury Department and the feds, they want to be very sure that everything's been vetted properly, everything's documented. We don't want to have any trouble as far as any preferential treatment, any bias, anything like that. So there's a lot of steps to take, and it's a little tedious, but the rewards are great.
Well, I mean, and again, I think that also allows the committee an easier way to grade these projects because of all those details that are
That's
included.
right. That will cut some of the projects that don't make muster more easily out of the equation.
Right. And let's see. Does the applicant get the money directly? We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
It actually goes through the county.
That's right. Got to go through the Okaloosa County controls, and then, like I say, if it gets through all those steps, it'll be funded. But
Well-
the proposer never sees the dollars. They submit, and the county will handle it from there. We have to answer for that money. We're the responsible party,
Gotcha.
not the procurer.
Okay. Well, and it's also important to mention that Okaloosa County has to apply like everybody else. They have to go through this application process.
Good point. There was some concern that the county would be seen as the wolf in the hen house if they could improve their own projects, but the board voted unanimously to let any county projects go through the exact same process with ORAC that any other project did. So I think that makes it more defendable and a better avenue.
Right. And how quickly do we need to spend the money, Commissioner Wines?
Well, there is no time deadline on the funding. Once it's available, it's available. It could take, if we wanted to jump in and do a bunch of projects at once and all the criteria was met, the county could do so. If we want to go a little slower, we could wait longer, a little longer, or a lot longer. It's strictly the prerogative of the board.
Okay. And if this is the first window of opportunity is missed, will there be other opportunities? Of course, we have.
Yeah, like I say, the big slug of money, which is hopefully coming at some point in the future. You know, I look back on it. I ran for the commission on the basis of I wanted to have a say-so in this restore money because it's important, once in a lifetime windfall. And we're 5 years into it now.
Yeah.
And we just now got the Transocean money, so I may not be around long enough to have a say-so in it. But I hope they get on with this court case, this phase 3, and establish exactly how much the fines are going to be. Then we can get on with the punitive part of the settlement.
Okay, well, we talked about Okaloosa County submitting projects. Discuss who else can submit projects.
Basically, anybody, any entity, any company, anybody can submit. That doesn't mean you're going to get approved. But only advice I could give somebody to make a proposal is have a good team together to help you put it together to make it in compliance. You know, like I said earlier, you got to talk the talk. This is pretty high tech stuff, and it's very tedious. So take your time and do it right, and get some help if you need to, because anybody can apply, and the more watertight your proposal is and looks, the better chance you got.
And you can look at the applications. They are online on the county website, so you can go to the county website and
that
take a look at them.
What?
Is OkaloosaFL.com.
All right, very good.
You're asking me questions now.
What a team.
Just ask me easy questions, okay? Are there any geographical restrictions? Easier than the ones I ask you.
This county money is to be spent in Okaloosa County. Now, in other pots, like the council pot or the pot 2 or 3, where the state controls the projects, and where in pot 3 the consortium, the 23 county consortium, those could be multi-county or widespread regional projects. But this money is strictly for Okaloosa County within the friendly confines of Okaloosa County is where this money will be spent. So it's pretty simple.
Okay, and you know, you mentioned the consortium of which we are part of. You know.
Right, yeah.
I think that's important to mention.
I tell you, while we're on the subject of this restore, I'd like to commend our team. We have Matrix Engineering Company out of Niceville that is heading this restore committee. Sal Najimian is the facilitator, doing a great job, and Lee Lewis is with Avcon. He's the right-hand man on it. Sam Severs is the chairman. She's former Destin mayor. We got 11 members on there that's been picked by the board, and I tell you, I'm real proud of this committee. We got good people. We got a good team leading it, and our product, I have to say, after looking at some of the other county's organization charts, I don't think anybody's ahead of us in this. I'm proud of this organization we got put together. It's going to do a good job for Okaloosa County.
Right, and you know, you mentioned the committee. I mean, I remember when that committee was appointed, but it was also by an application process. I mean, anybody could submit an application to be on that ORAC committee, which I think, you know, people might have forgotten that.
The at-large portion of the committee could submit.
Right.
Some of it was appointed by the school board, the Charter Boat Association, the League of Cities,
To get a diverse
Destin County.
group,
So we
yeah.
got some of all of it. But
Right.
the at-large people were able to submit applications. And I tell you, the committee hadn't changed much. A couple of them have changed over the last couple of years, but it's a good group.
It was a big commitment for those.
Absolutely.
Those
They meet a lot of times, and most of them they've always got a quorum. I don't think they've ever not had a quorum at their meeting.
Okay, well, we got a couple more minutes. What kind of projects do you really expect? And you know, you can talk about the consortium if you want.
Okay.
Kelly.
Just looking at the general consensus of the county commission and the ORAC committee, the thing that's most needed in Okaloosa County is water quality, stormwater runoff projects, environmental stuff. You're not going to have capital projects out of this. You know, you're not going to build a road. You're not going to build a administrative building or a courthouse. It's restoration is the key word. We're trying to restore what's been damaged, and if we can improve our water quality by way of a catch basin or a culvert or doing away with some septic tanks maybe, whatever improve the water quality, which we need being a playground area. Our water
Absolutely.
certainly needs to be pristine. So that's the pulse I get from the ORAC committee as well as the board of county commissioners, that we're going to try to clean things up, you know. And we'll just have to wait and see, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it's headed.
Well, good, good.
Now, there is a small portion of it by law, and I think the county's going to entertain some of it, that job creation is in there too. But see, you can create jobs by doing some of these projects using local labor and engineering and whatnot. So job creation is a part of it, although it be a lesser part than the environmental and the stormwater.
All right, well, just to sum up, we want to remind everybody, May the 8th, get your applications in before May the 8th. Go to the county website, look at the application for the short form for $90,000, and anything over that would be Form B, and take a look at all those questions and let us know if you have any questions. You can call our 311 Citizens Information Line, and again, visit us at OkaloosaFL.com and get your application in to include our county departments by May the 8th. Anything else? Thank you so much for joining us today, Commissioner
Thanks for having me,
Wines.
Kathy. My pleasure.
We're going to move on to our public information update, and I have a historical highlight for you today. It is our Okaloosa County centennial, and in this year we are going to have historical highlights on the show for that period. And today I want to talk about the very first sheriff in Okaloosa County. His name was Benjamin Sutton, and he really didn't have his photograph made very much, and the only photograph that they were able to find was during the Robert Blackwell conviction, and where there was actually a hanging and of the guy Robert Blackwell for murdering Bud and Nancy Davis in 1917, and he was found in that photo that I'm going to share with you today, and it's the only one believed of him. He is on the far left, we believe, and he's surrounded, and then of course Robert there in the middle about to be hung. So, and he is surrounded by Christians who stayed with him for that period of time before his hanging. So, and then lastly, I want to remind everybody that April is County Government Month. So if you see some county employees out there working, make sure you let them know that you appreciate their work and their service to our county. And with that, I will close the show, and we will see you next month.
Thanks for watching Okaloosa Today. Join us again next month to learn about local news and information for Okaloosa County, Fort Walton Beach, and Destin.